What's going on, people? It's your boy, the Boxing Lowdown here, and we're here for episode number 51 of the Boxing Lowdown podcast, man. And you know what time it is. Delighted to be joined by, you know who it is, my guy, the main man. You know what I mean? My co-host, my dad. We in the building, man. We in the building. What's going on?
I'm good, man. More importantly, how are you doing?
Yeah. As you know, man, it's been a very, very, very rough couple of weeks, man. Body's been pushed to the limit. Do you know what I mean? It's been really a bad time, man. Been hard. Had to overcome a lot.
Welcome to that unfortunate club, man. The COVID club. Listen, I'm thank God that you're pulling through okay, man. I know you had a rough couple of days because we spoke. And when we spoke, I said to you that based on my experiences with COVID, it's almost a case of you have to get worse before you start to feel better. And I think that's probably how you felt, wasn't it?
Yeah, I felt terrible. I've never felt this bad in my life. Never felt this rough. Never felt this bad. Struggling to breathe. Chest was tight. Shivering. Vomiting. Headaches. Migraines. You name it. That's what I was going through. It was that bad, man. It was
man. Yeah.
Really rough, man. Really rough time.
It is.
So
COVID ain't no joke, man. COVID is not a joke, which is why, you know, sometimes you've heard me on the show when it's been alleged that one or two boxers have pulled the old COVID excuse to get out of fights, and I've really looked up. Now you can understand why I got angry when you know, when that accusation's been thrown out there. Because listen, man, COVID can kill, man. It ain't no joke. We don't want to dwell on the negative, but listen, I'm glad you're making a recovery. I hope you make a full recovery. And when I say full recovery, I mean because we do know about the so-called long COVID syndrome. I hope you don't get that. But it's good to see you talking well again. You look well. You know what I mean? So yeah, man.
Definitely lost a lot of weight. Definitely lost.
Yeah, actually, I think you might look a little better for that, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before you were going in around super middleweight, weren't you? Now you're probably down to what? Welter?
Probably, man. Yeah. Someone said, yeah, you could probably challenge Tiafimo now. And I said, yeah, probably.
He'd probably postpone it.
Yeah, exactly. But loads of comments coming in, man. I'm going to go through those. Guys, it's good to have you back here, man. It's great to be back. Do you know what I mean? Part of the reason why I'm back is because it's good to interact with you all. And as you all know, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I don't know how long the show will be, but we'll make it as long as I can. And you know what I mean? We'll just crack on, man. We'll just get on with it. So big up 1B in the comment there. He's put here, return of the Mac. You know what it is, man. Yeah, we're back in the building. Big up 1B. Ian Hamilton has put here, what's up, guys? The boys are back in town. Let's go. 1B has said here, I'm praying that this is a 2-hour episode to make up for last week. I hope you're doing well, Dal, recovering. Big up Laurie as well. Avon Barksdale in the chat. He's put, evening, my brother. Evening, man. Harvey is back. He's put here, yo, they're back. I hope you're feeling better, Daryl. I'm getting there, man. Francisco's put here, good morning, brothers. I'm glad you're feeling better. Daryl, break it down. You know I will, man. Conrad has put here, welcome back. Hope you're doing okay. WM has said here, Daryl and Laurie, I have missed you both greatly. It's great to have you back. So, yeah, back in the building, man. 1B has said here, don't mean to take it personal, but were you vaccinated? Personally, no, I wasn't. If I'm being honest, I'm not. I know something that my dad's always told me to push me on to get in. I'm not an anti-vaxxer or nothing like that. I'm not like one of those type of people, but I personally just haven't had the vaccination. So yeah, for me, like I don't know if that's obviously what's made it worse, but it did hit me badly anyway. So I know my dad is double jabbed, but it was just something I'm not double jabbed yet. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question there.
And on that as well, I'm not going to use this show as a forum for talking about vaccines and stuff like that. It's an individual choice. I personally chose to get the double vax after I had COVID back in December. As for me, I consider it an extra layer of protection. But I want to stress, I'm not neither encouraging anybody to get it done or to not get it done. It's an individual choice. Me and Daryl had some personal discussion on that, but that should remain private. But hey, we're here to talk boxing, man. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, let's talk boxing, man. Let's talk boxing. Dean Sinclair's put here, good to see you looking well, brother. Laurie, I hope all is good, Unks. Damn, I've missed this show. IB, oh, it's actually IB, not 1B. Okay, yeah, big up IB, man. I thought so. Mohammed Zishan said here, good to see you back. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, it's good to be back, man. Good to be back. Let's talk some boxing. And listen, I had to find the stomach to get myself better anyway to talk about this weekend, man. Because, listen, despite everything that's been going on, we've got a huge one this week, man. A very good show in Liverpool. And we've obviously got the huge show in Las Vegas between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, the Trilogy 3. This fight, yeah, whatever happens, when this trilogy ends, I'm just going to have to just tip my hat off and just say, look, you have to give it to these two guys, their characters in whatever way. If you like them or you hate them, both of them are characters and both of them have made this interesting, man. And for this particular third fight here, I'm on the edge of my seat. And I'm just really looking forward to it. And it's going to end off like, another chapter in boxing, man. And with these two guys, for me personally, let's just get straight onto the fight itself. For me personally, I thought that Fury beat Wilder in the first fight. I thought he didn't have to beat Wilder in the first fight, definitely. In the second fight, we saw what happened there. So for me, it's, the only way how Fury loses is if it's down to him. But you're taking a different opinion. You really think that Wilder will do it? Like, you genuinely feel that Wilder will defeat Fury this weekend? And I just want you to know, after those first two fights, based on what evidence are you really going for Wilder? Because for me, it's hard to pick against Fury.
Yeah, listen, first of all, I just want to say how excited I am for this fight. And I'm not wishing to detract from Joshua and Usyk, but for me personally, this is a more exciting fight than and don't get me wrong, I was really looking forward to the Joshua-Usyk fight. I watched it and I really enjoyed watching it. Usyk put on a sublime display of boxing. But with this fight, I know that this might be a view that is universally shared in the boxing stratosphere. But to me, there's something about this trilogy, man. There's this intrigue there. The two characters, what's gone on before with the allegations of cheating and the sort of dark arts that Wilder was accusing Fury of. So the backstory leading into this fight, man, to me is massive. The press conference that I saw the other day, it was gripping, just seeing the body language of these two guys. And then with Wilder, you get that sort of aura of the puncher. You know what I mean? It's just mega, man. It's all to play for. And with regards to my prediction, yes, you are right. That listen, man, Fury's clearly the better boxer, yeah. And it could be argued off the back of the last fight that he's the better fighter as well, because he faced up Wilder, went on the front foot, and let's face it, he beat him up and stopped him. But I don't know, man. I've just got this. I've been following Tyson Fury a long time, man. He's a very unpredictable, very capricious, meaning up and down character. I'm looking at his body language. He doesn't seem quite the same Fury to me. Don't get me wrong. He is still a showman. He's still confident sounding and looking. But I just see little signs there, man, that I'm not, you know what I mean? I've had this feeling for a while now. I'm seeing him and I'm seeing Wilder. And I'm seeing how Wilder's prepared and his body language and how positive he's sounding. And then obviously you've got the punch power there. I mean, let's face it, man. If you go back to the first fight, I know not everyone would agree with me, but he already knocked Fury out. The referee judged it differently, but you could clearly make a case for him getting knocked out in that fight. Yes, Fury dominated the second fight. I've got no arguments with that. With the excuses that Wilder put forward, listen, man, I don't know. He can't seem to definitively prove any of these things, so I can't really take that too seriously. But what I would say is that it's galvanized Wilder, man. You know what I mean? It's galvanized him. You see a new Wilder almost. I like his body language. I like his mental state, his approach to this fight. And let's face it, he's got the punch to do damage, man. So this is as long as Wilder remains upright, he's going to be very dangerous. And when you get that kind of combination, it's intriguing, man. You know what I mean? I can't wait for this fight. I really can't wait.
IB has said here, it looks like Laurie has recovered from the AJ loss. We ain't forgotten. I think AJ will come back and beat Usyk somehow. I don't know, you know. I don't think he will.
Listen, man, I'd like to be able to outright agree with that. And listen, again, I wouldn't write Joshua off because similar to this fight, we know he can punch. Somebody the other day pointed out a very good thing to me the other day when they were talking about the Usyk. I was at the gym and one of my homeboys at the gym, we were talking about the fight. And he said, Laurie, you know what? I give Joshua a really good shot in the rematch. So I was like, oh, yeah, why is that? Because let's face it, he got beaten fairly comprehensively. What's going to make it different the next time round? He said, well, listen, man, if you look at Usyk's face, look how marked up he was. And really, Joshua didn't really put any serious hands on him. He goes, can you imagine if Joshua adopts a different mindset for the next fight and goes after him a bit earlier, then he's definitely got a chance. And I thought, yeah, there is some truth in that. So, but listen, man.
Yeah, but a lot of people say that. A lot of people say that, but then they just discount what Usyk can do. Like Usyk said in his post-fight interview, there's a lot I can do too. People saying, "Oh, Joshua needs to do this and do that," and you know, what does Joshua need to do different? But Usyk, he was reminding people, like, look, I can be different too. Don't just think that Joshua
say that. He's got absolutely every right to say that. But we've seen throughout boxing history, where in rematches, you do see different fights. Doesn't happen all the time. I have to say that the majority of the time when there's a rematch, not only does the winner the first time win, they normally win more conclusively the next time round. But even to go back to the Fury-Wilder fight, I mean, you go back in history, man. Remember the Joe Louis, Max Schmeling fight?
Yeah.
Joe Louis, he got schooled and got knocked out by Max Schmeling. And in the return match, man, Joe Louis absolutely destroyed Schmeling. You know what I mean? So are there sort of feelings like that going into this fight with Fury and Wilder? Because like I said, the one thing we do know, right, and Joshua can't say the same about Usyk. The one thing we know that Wilder can say to Fury is that I have decked you already twice. Like I said, in that first fight that they had, many people, myself included, as well as he did to get up, I thought Tyson Fury was quite fortunate to get away with that because you've seen it, I've seen it, everybody out there's seen it as well with referees. When somebody goes down that heavy, we've often seen referees call it off. They don't even count, do they? The way Fury went down. So as well as he did to get back up, a lot of referees would have just said, no mass, that's it. They wouldn't even have bothered to take up the count. So in that regard, he did get a bit lucky. But listen, that was then, this is now. I'm seeing a new mindset from Wilder. I'm not sure if I'm seeing a new mindset from Fury. I feel that the act is becoming a little jaded. I'm hearing stuff that he's been up and down in terms of his training and his attitude and his performances in sparring and all the rest of it. So I think if Wilder is going to beat Fury, this is probably his best opportunity yet.
Yeah, but you know one thing what people are saying about, it's always bad to write off Fury. It's just always bad to, like, every time I've done it, he's proven you wrong. Everyone's like, oh, Fury, nah, he's not in the right shape going into this fight. Nah, he's not going to beat Klitschko in Germany. Nah, he's not going to beat Wilder, man. I mean, look at him. He's not even in shape. And you know what I mean? He just finds something to just prove you wrong. And, like, there's been a lot of stuff that's been happening outside of the ring, let's say, with Fury, man. If he caught COVID or not, whatever. There was the whole situation with his daughter as well. Do you know what I mean? The rumors about him in sparring, not looking too great. So all of these things, and then you have a look at Wilder, seems to be building a great chemistry with Malik Scott. Seems to be working really well with him. I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but a few people have highlighted it in the comments. They think that Wilder, he looks even more bigger than he should be. They think that he might be bulking up a bit more than he should have. But it's going to be interesting, man. But I've just always noticed that it's hard for me to write off Fury now. Hard for me to
you're right. I mean, he's unbeaten in 30-odd fights. He doesn't fight as often as he should do, let's be honest. But it seems that the bigger the fight, the more he gets himself up for it previously. And listen, I'm not going to lie. I've picked against him previously and he's proved me wrong. So, you know what I mean? I've been one of those guys that have doubted him and he's, you know, proved me wrong every time so far. Maybe it's just wishful thinking because, listen, I'm going to put it on the record, man, that I'm not the biggest fan of the way Tyson Fury conducts himself. So that could, I'm going to be honest and say that might skewer my vision a little bit when it comes to Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? People would say that's a little unprofessional of you, but I'm just being honest. A lot of people do this. We tend to pick with our hearts more than we do with our heads. And listen, if it's down to boxing, if the two fighters finish on their feet, then I'm going to say straight away that I think Fury will win. But I just see a window of opportunity, man, for Wilder to land the big shots or shots to get him out of it. And like I said, I've been encouraged by what I've seen of Wilder. He's gone back to the lab, him and his new coach, and they've kind of convinced me, man, that they're coming into this fight with a refreshed, what they like to say, rejuvenated attitude. And I'm thinking, man, like I said, if he's ever going to beat Fury, this is going to be the time.
What if he don't beat Fury? What happens to Wilder and his career? Let's say he gets another punishing defeat. You know, and you know what's been really intriguing to me is just what's riding on this in terms of the fan bases. Like you've got the Wilder fan base that are really stoked and invest in this. Do you know what I mean? What happens if Wilder loses? What happens if he suffers another bad defeat? Like, is there any way back from Wilder here? I saw some disturbing comments this week where he was saying that, you know, retirement was on the mind. Do you know what I mean? He's thinking about it. Like, he didn't actually go as far as saying he will retire, but I'm sure I saw some comments somewhere where he was just like, you know, it's in his vision, so it's not far away. He is
well. What I took from that is that he's totally focused on beating Fury. He doesn't see himself losing, which is, let's face it, that's the right attitude to have. But he also went on to say that he's looking to unify the belts, and that once he's unified the belts, then he'll think about retirement, but not before. He keeps using that moniker, one face, one name, one heavyweight champion. Listen, if he loses, it could be, or it will be, that Fury has his number. It doesn't mean to say he can't have a successful career outside of boxing, outside of fighting Tyson Fury. So, listen, man, if he loses, as long as he doesn't get absolutely taken to the cleaners again, then, you know what I mean, I would imagine he's still got a future out there, because not every fighter is Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is a very unique proposition for anyone going against him. 6'9", big, strong, long arms, very nimble on his feet, very awkward, and with a high boxing IQ, it has to be said. He's not the most exciting fighter, Tyson Fury, but he seems to get the job done. So can't knock him too much, I'm afraid. With Tyson Fury, a lot of the stuff is some of the shenanigans outside the ring. I've described him in the past, and I'm going to stick by my word. He's a bit of a disreputable character. You can't always trust him. You can't always believe anything he says. Some of the actions I'm not too keen on. Some of the, you know what I mean, the rare and the rah-rah I'm not too fond of. Some people like it, though. So, hey, man.
Yeah. Let's go to some comments here. IB has said here, it's mad that everyone was angry AJ and Fury never happened, but I feel like this outcome is better. 2 quality fights, Usyk and Wilder Fury 3. No one wanted to see the trilogy. Now I think we're pumped for it. I'm absolutely pumped for it. Yep. I really am. I'm pumped for it. And we were all drained down over this whole like AJ and Fury's saga over the summer. Do you know what I mean? It was one more week. Every week was one more week. We'll get the announcement. We're getting the announcement, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, yeah, all of that. But now, you know what I mean? We've moved on now. And like, we now have a situation where we've got Fury and Wilder at the weekend, where boxing Twitter, everybody, no matter what you say, boxing Twitter is on a high right now. Everybody's talking about this fight.
Everyone.
And then you've got AJ and Usyk. You've got the intrigue. Can AJ make the adjustments to win the rematch, or will Usyk have his number again? So, you know, it's funny how things work out. Probably won't get the undisputed title fight for a while now. I know that the WBC have kind of said that after this fight, there's 30 days for them to, you know, negotiate something back with Usyk, but I can't see that happening. You know what I mean? It looks like that Dylan White will be waiting in the wings if he can beat Otto Wallin. But you know, without Undisputed, we still have something to talk about, man. The heavyweight pitch is still exciting.
Absolutely. And while we're at it, let's give Wilder some credit here, because, you know, let's be honest, man, that second fight, he was beaten and beaten comprehensively. Forget about the excuses for 1 minute. What took place in the actual ring was one-sided. So let's get that straight for number one. He had a rematch clause. He exercised it when a lot of people would say, well, why would you want to go in there again after you were beaten so soundly? He said, no, I believe in myself. Things happened that night. It wasn't me in there. I wasn't myself. I can do better. So credit to him, man. I mean, he took this to court, didn't he? He won the, you know what I mean? The arbitration went in his favor. Apparently he neglected step-aside money. He could have continued his career elsewhere. He's trying to get this back. I know he's talking in graphic terms about getting it back in blood. I don't know whether that's real or whether that's to sell the fight or whether that's just a sort of reflection of his attitude in getting this fight. But listen, man, it's here, and I cannot wait. And I'll tell you something as well. In the office today, I work alongside guys who are football guys. They like boxing, but they, you know what I mean, they kind of pick and choose, as you would expect casuals to do. Everyone's talking about this fight. And on that as well, we're doing a watch-along for the Don Robbie channel. You was part of the last one, Darryl, and I'm not sure if you can make it tomorrow, because you're still recovering. But I had to contact BT to order the fight today. And I got into a conversation with a guy on the line. He said, I'll tell you what, we've had so many calls today, people ordering this fight. So that, you know what I mean? It's definitely got people pumped.
So just to confirm, there will be a watch-along for Francis. There will be a watch-along, but on the Don Robbie channel. On the Don Robbie channel, yeah. Darryl would, for those of you out there, Darryl did the last one with me on the Usyk and Joshua one. But obviously Darryl caught COVID, was laid down for a few days. So it's unlikely that you will. We'd love to have him on the show. Yeah, I won't be. No, it won't be well enough for this one. No. Yeah. But listen, man, it's going to be a great night. Yeah, I can't wait. And listen, you know what? As well, I'm sure you're going to touch on it later, Darryl. But the undercard for that fight as well, man, it's got some great fights on it. Kaunatsky versus Vilanius. That's another rematch, heavyweight rematch. You got Frank Sanchez and F.A. Jagma, two up-and-coming guys who were highly thought of. You know, heavyweight undercard. Yeah, you got the return of Julian J. Rock Williams on the card. You know what I mean? There's some heavy hitters on this card, man. Yeah, so very good card. Kingdom in the chat. Yeah, Kingdom in the comments has put here. It's always hard to think how Wilder will turn out in his fights, but he's got that power that would wipe out the whole division. I'd like to see Wilder go on and fight Joshua and White. I mean, the upside for Wilder if he wins is, there's a lot of attractive fights out there. AJ, Dylan White, and you know what? I'll tell you, I don't know, man. I think that, like, I think Wilder beats AJ. I'm sorry, man. I think Wilder. I think he would beat AJ. I think he would. Listen, with Wilder, Darryl, I think it's fair to say that on any given night, he can beat any heavyweight in the world. I mean, you've only got to look at some of his previous performances. Look at the two Luis Ortiz fights. He was comfortably behind in both of those fights. In the second fight, leading up to the knockout, I don't think I'd hardly given him a round. And then what happens in round 8-9? Bang, one right hand is all over. And it's a highlight reel knockout as well. It's not like he wobbled him and then threw a load of punches and got stopped. I'm talking he wiped him out. So the power does carry late as well with Wilder. You saw that with Fury because he nearly finished him off in that 12th round. We've seen it with After Spilica, who was surprisingly schooling Wilder, wasn't he? And again, late on, bang, one right hand out the blue, wiped him out. And it has to be said that Spilica was never the same again after that. So this guy's got almost frightening power if he lands clean. And I think that if he lands clean on Fury, he'll go down, man. Trust me, I think he will. And as whether Wilder can keep him down, that's another story, because we've seen Fury in the past. He's, despite what people like me say about him anyway, he's shown himself to have massive heart, massive balls, good chin, because he does, you know what I mean? He took a few other shots in that fight and he stood there. Even in the second fight, I think there was a moment in the second round, I think it was, when he got caught flush
with a right hand, and he kind of wore it quite well. But I think Wilder's going to adopt slightly different tactics this fight. They're talking about him looking to go to the body a bit more, using his jab a bit more and trying to set up the shots rather than just lunging in, going off balance and then getting countered. So we'll see what happens, man.
Is that a good idea?
I think, I don't think you can go in there and just start wailing, you know what I mean, and then just hope to get Fury. It's got to be strategic. But at the same time, he can't overthink himself the way Joshua did, because he's not going to outbox Fury, is he? Let's be honest. I think we've seen enough to know by now that he will not outbox Tyson Fury. It's very, very unlikely that Wilder will get a points decision over Fury. If he did, it would be because he knocked him down 3 or 4 times and just beat Fury up over the 12 rounds, which, Wilder did that to Bermane-Stiverne, didn't he? In their first fight, where he rocked him a couple of times and beat him up with a jab. Mm. And then in the second fight, he absolutely wiped Stiverne out. So, yeah. It's intriguing, man. It really is.
Let's go through some more comments here. Big up my brother Daniel in the chat, man. Good to have him here. He's put big up for doing the show. Massive weekend of boxing. Massive weekend, man. Good to have you here, my bro. Good to have you here. Born Again Biker has put here 900 subs. So we hit 900 subs, man. Big up everybody right here. 900 subs on YouTube.
Smash that button, man. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel.
Hit that like button, man. Yeah, 900 subs. That's a good look, man. That's a good look. Avon Barksdale has put here Jared Anderson's on the card. Yeah, for real. That's going to be good.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Dean Sinclair said here, very true about the undercard. It's gone under the radar. Do you know what I mean? King Dom has said here, you know what? I'm with you on that one, bro. I think Wilder could beat Joshua. He hasn't got the best chin. He got knocked down by Klitschko, who was past his prime. White rocked him. The fat boy bashed him up. Usyk rocked him. Usyk rocked Joshua. Yeah, I think he says it here as well. Usyk rocked him as well. So listen, I'd fear for AJ in that fight if he was to fight Wilder. Just my.
I think that would also be an intriguing fight, because it would almost be who lands cleanly first in that fight. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, man, that would be a great fight as well. Listen, I don't think Wilder's ever been in a boring fight, has he? Can you remember one?
I don't think so. I mean, the last one, obviously, he weren't competitive in it, so it was a bit different there. But like, in terms of him, I don't really remember him being in a boring fight. He has you on the edge of your seat. He's that kind of person I just like to watch, because he's got you on the edge of your seat always. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. One thing
he's such a gregarious character. He knows how to sell fights. Listen, not everybody likes what's coming out of his mouth. Same thing as Fury. They're both alpha males. They love talking. You know what I mean? They like to dominate the room with their presence and with what they say. They both consider themselves as king. Tyson Fury's the Gypsy King. And Deontay Wilder often refers to himself in the third person and talks of himself being, I am your king. You know what I mean? Sounds a bit corny, sounds a bit cheesy, but it makes these guys who they are, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
it's made the whole
perfect fit.
Yeah.
If you wanted to, like, a press conference with 2 guys going at it, these 2 are the guys who you want, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel more buzz for this than AJ Usyk. I feel more buzz for this than AJ Usyk.
Absolutely, man.
So yeah, I mean, what about Fury though? Because I mean, you've spoken about Wilder, you've spoken about what Wilder needs to do, but like for me, I think that Fury, I think what he needs to do is just first of all get his head right, just make sure that his head's on straight for this fight. He's fully focused, no distractions, because there has been distractions outside of the ring. But I think for Fury, would you approach this fight as you did the second fight, or would you? I mean, how do you approach it? Because he's shown that he can box on the back foot and outbox Wilder, and then you've got the way how he approached the second fight, where he literally marched forward and beat him up. So if you're Fury, what do you do then? Do you mix it up a bit more? I'm seeing people in the comments thinking that Fury will get the KO even earlier. I'm seeing other people feel that Fury will win the fight, but how does he approach this third fight after the way how he's had the last 2 with Wilder?
That's a good question, but you know what? I think that there is the clue to that is in the weight that Tyson Fury intends to come in at this fight. I mean, I'm hearing anywhere from 270 to 300 pounds. So I think if he's coming in that heavy, that tells me straight away that he's putting on body mass to absorb the punches. And what he's going to do is to walk Wilder down, because he's considerably the bigger man. He's 2 inches taller. He's got a slightly longer reach, or if actually the reach might be negligible between the two. But he's clearly the bigger man in terms of body mass. And probably if you're Tyson Fury, you're thinking, I've got enough skills in the bag to outbox him anyway. If I put on a bit of bulk and size, walk him down, come forward, smother him, make him feel my strength for my extra weight and stuff like that, he'll wear Wilder down, you know what I mean, round about the halfway mark and take over and start to beat him up. But that is a bit risky, that strategy, because if you're coming forward, as you know, Daryl, you watch boxing, you know what I mean, it's pretty obvious, really. If you're coming forward, you need to be defensively responsible because you are entering into the zone where you're going to get hit yourself. So it is a slightly dangerous strategy, one that, you know what I mean, could lead you to getting hit and countered. So I would imagine he's going to start off fairly circumspect. I don't see him coming out the traps like he did in the second fight when he clearly caught Wilder by surprise. Because it was interesting because during the lead up to that second fight, Fury was quite vocal, saying that, listen, man, I'm going to come out there and I'm going to back him up. I'm going to take it to him. I'm going to beat him up, drop him and get him out of there. And when I heard that, I thought he's only bluffing, you know what I mean? But on fight night, to give Fury's his due, he did exactly that. And I would say part of the reason why he looked so good in that fight is because there was the element of surprise there. Because although he was talking it, because he'd never really done that in his previous fights, no one really believed him. Now we've seen him do it, so we know he's capable of doing it. But the thing is, Wilder also will probably be watching out for that as well. So I can expect a fairly cagey first round and a half, and then I think it might start to explode into action. And that's when it's going to get interesting.
Edge of your seat stuff, man. It really is.
What I want to see is the first time Wilder connects on Fury, if he wears it well, brushes it off without too much problem, I think Wilder could be in trouble because he'll be thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I've hit him with my best shot, man. And you know, Fury, he'll probably, if he does wear it well, he'll probably just laugh or, you know what I mean, shake his bum or stick his tongue out or, you know what I mean, or make Wilder know that it's had absolutely no effect. And then you get into that realm of the mental mind games, you know what I mean? Because let's face it, man, if you forget the first fight for a minute, the second fight, because the first fight, a lot of people thought Fury won. I know you did. Personally, I thought a draw was probably a fair result. I know I'm in a minority in that, but I thought there was a lot of rounds in that first fight that were negligible, you know what I mean, where either man wasn't doing too much. So you could have scored a couple of those rounds either way. And then if you add in the knockdowns and that, to me, a draw wasn't beyond the pale. Second fight, there's no doubt about it. We all saw what happened. Fury absolutely dominated him. So there's bound to be that mental thing in Wilder's brain. No matter what he says in the press conferences and the interviews, there's bound to be that little doubt in his mind that it could go wrong again. And if he gets off to a bad start and Fury's all over him, he could get taken back to that mental place. So it's intriguing, man. I can't wait to see it.
Timothy Spaghetti has put here, hey, a channel not bashing Wilder, but I was already subbed. I like his fights as well. Salute. Yeah, big up Timothy, man. Yeah, no bashing Wilder over here. Definitely not me anyway. And you know, Laurie, he's a fan of Wilder.
I'm a fan of Wilder, but listen, I'm a fan of boxing. I like the big fights. I'm not necessarily a fan of Tyson Fury, but I respect him. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I have predicted against him in quite a few fights. I didn't think he'd beat Klitschko. I didn't think he'd beat Wilder in the first fight. I was doubtful he could beat him in the second fight. You know what I mean? And he's proved me wrong all these times. I think Tyson Fury is one of those guys, man. He can fight up or down to the level of the opponent. And sometimes that can catch people like even myself out. Because we've seen him in, you know what I mean, against people like Tom Schwartz. Not so much Tom Schwartz, people like Otto Wallin, where he looked, let's be honest, man, he looked quite poor. But to be fair to Fury, he's good in rematches because the first fight he had with Derek Chisora was, you know what I mean, very competitive. The second fight, he blew Chisora away. If you go way back, when he had the fight with McDermott, to me, he clearly lost that fight. Yeah. He had the second fight, he won that conclusively. And of course, with Wilder, the first fight was a draw. Second fight, very conclusive. So one thing you have to say about Tyson Fury, man, it looks like he downloads information and, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. He has a game plan for rematches. and he's 100% in rematches up until now. So we'll see.
Dean Sinclair said here, AJ versus Wilder is a case of who lands first. Ortiz isn't a massive puncher, and he almost took Wilder out. Fury bashed him about, and he's never been known for his power. So it's who lands first if AJ fought Wilder, basically.
Yeah, but
I just think that AJ. I just think that AJ is not. It's not the same as the. He's not the same as he was a few. Like, I mean, I didn't want to admit it, but like after the Ruiz fight, obviously he outboxed him in the rematch against Pulev. I saw signs that I thought it was a good performance from AJ, but we didn't get the roadman AJ. We didn't get the AJ like that we got against Dillian White. I think that AJ's gone, and that kind of comes with age. Like when you hit your 30s, you're not as sort of like. You know, you don't rush in as much as you're more measured. So I don't know. Like, is AJ quicker than Wilder? I don't think so. And that's why I just think Wilder will get to him first.
If you're AJ, you want to look at somebody like Lennox Lewis. Remember, Lennox Lewis got chinned by
McCall,
by Hasim Rahman, and he got chinned by who's the guy from Chicago?
Oliver McCall.
Oliver McCall, yeah, and he won the rematches. But later on in Lewis's career, he was noticeably a bit more defensively responsible. He chose when to attack. He didn't leave his chin hanging out. He boxed behind the jab a lot more. But unlike AJ, he was a lot more aggressive when he, with the jab and with his demeanor and stuff like that. So I think AJ could learn a lot from Lennox Lewis. It's pity that they don't talk to each other, man, because he could learn a lot from Lennox Lewis. But listen, man, with Wilder, I mean, your previous contributor there, he said about Ortiz not being a massive puncher. But I'll tell you what, Ortiz can punch, man. You know what I mean? He's a decent puncher in the heavyweight division. You've only got to look at his record to see that. And he hurt Wilder a few times. But I think Wilder may not have the best chin and the best legs, but what he does have is plenty of heart, because I have to give him credit, because even in that second fight, right, when he was clearly getting dominated by Fury and getting hit clean with shots, he went down a couple of times with body shots, he was rocked, he looked disorientated, discombobulated. The one thing I took from that is that he never threw the towel in. In fact, he got rid of his trainer for doing just that. And even when the fight was stopped, he was complaining to the ref. And I don't think that was for show. You know, sometimes when fighters get stopped and, they wait for the count to get to 10 and then they're getting up saying to the ref, oh, I can carry on. With Wilder, you could see he was pained at the towel being stopped, at the towel being thrown in. So that suggests to me, man, that he does have heart. And like I said, with the both fights with Luis Ortiz, he was getting hit and he was hurt badly in that second fight with Ortiz. No, I think it was the first fight. He was hurt quite badly. I remember some people at the time saying that the referee did him a little bit of a favor there, because he was walking around and wobbling legs.
He did give him a bit of a favor.
Yeah. And then, but like I said, he bounced back, and that's the sign of a true champion. So I don't think there's nothing wrong at all with Deontay Wilder's heart.
All right, let's go to another comment here by Kingdom. He said here, do you guys believe that Fury cheated in the second fight? The whole thing about the gloves, etc. I'll answer this first on my opinion. My opinion is no. I don't think that there was. I don't like. If there was, then I feel like that this should have been pushed forward to the commissions, and it should have been made more of a deal out of really presented to the commissions that if something really did happen. We've heard a lot of allegations, but nothing with any foundation. So for me, no, I can't see. You know what I mean? I can't see it personally. I mean, I know what Wilder said. I know what he believes. I know what those close around him believe, but there's no foundation to it for me. I haven't seen you present it to the commission or take it to the court or anything. Listen, if I was in a boxing ring and my dad was in the corner and he felt that the person that I was fighting was doing all of this wrongdoing with gloves and everything else, he's taking it further. He's going to the commission. He's trying to get as much as he can done about it. But we hadn't seen nothing, just seen allegations being pointed, and that's it. So for me, no, I don't know if there was, but for me, I don't think so. Not for me.
Right. I view it slightly different to that. Listen, you're right insofar as nothing was ever proved. However, if you look at some of the pictures, the glove does look a bit floppy, right? But listen, I would agree that on the basis of that alone, you can't accuse the man of cheating. What I would say, however, is that there have been allegations against Tyson Fury in the past of this sort of thing. There was a video, well-known video, that was circulating on the net with one of Tyson Fury's former sparring partners, a guy called Nicholas Asprey, an American heavyweight. He put a video out alleging that Tyson Fury had, decreased the padding in some of the gloves. And, the video was well circulated and went out there. There actually has been a couple of other fighters that have accused Tyson Fury of cheating, but that hasn't really gotten much publicity. Also, it has to be said that Tyson Fury, he has been shown to have been disreputable over the old Nandrolone thing. So we know he is capable of cheating. So, let's have it right. We're talking about a man who has cheated in the past. Okay, you can't prove the glove thing, but we do know for a fact that he's cheated in terms of ped use and stuff like that. And with regards to what you say, Daryl, about, nothing being proven and this and that and rare, I get that. However, I remember when Miguel Cotto made allegations against Margarito. People said similar things there, but it was later found that Margarito did try to cheat against Shane Mosley, and it was the corner that discovered it, not the commission. So listen, man, I'm not accusing Tyson Fury per se, but all I would caution the people out there is boxing can be a very malevolent and nasty and dirty and dark business. So I wouldn't rule it out 100%, but I'm not categorically saying that Fury did so. Okay.
Daniel Wilson has said here, do you guys think Wilder has learned enough working with Malik Scott?
Well, I think, you know what, in answer to that, he definitely looks rejuvenated under Malik Scott. So they obviously have got a chemistry together that seems to work well. Both of them seem to be on the same page. They both speak very well of each other. They definitely have love and respect for each other, which is good. I've seen some of the footage that they put out there of them training together, and Wilder looks very sharp on the pads, but then that's a pad, that's not a fight. I'm also hearing, and again, this could be just, clever PR from Wilder's team, that he's done exceptionally well in sparring and that he looks 100%. So listen, man, that's good. And I think to credit Malik Scott in the interviews that I've heard him give, and he sounds very lucid and very articulate, he's made a point of saying, listen, I'm not trying to change Deontay Wilder as a fighter. I'm mainly going into the toolbox and bringing out some of the tools that previously he'd neglected to use. And that kind of makes sense to me. And you have a lot of people out there saying, there's no way you're going to improve a guy. But if you look throughout boxing history, there's been plenty of guys. I spoke earlier about Lennox Lewis. He made a transition to Emmanuel Stewart. You know what I mean? And he changed his game up. Tyson Fury's changed his game up. He left Ben Davison off the back of a win where, off the back of the draw.
Off the back of the draw.
With Wilder. He went to Sugar Hill, right? Sugar Hill Stewart. And look at him in the next fight. Looked totally different. He looked a revelation. So when people say, you can't improve it, that's nonsense, man. Loads of boxers have done this type of thing. You know what I mean? Tony Bellew did it when he went to Dave Caldwell. You know what I mean? You can name hundreds of fighters who have gone to other trainers and it's worked for them. And like I said, the trainers don't have to change the fighters 100%. Sometimes it's just a psychological thing to enable you to get the best out of you. I mean, you've heard of staleness. Sometimes if you're listening to one voice, a bit like football, players will say, they can grow tired of listening to the same voice game after game, month after month, year after year. Sometimes you need a change in order to energize you and to motivate you and to get you thinking differently. So I think Malik Scott so far, and I've got to caution it to say so far because we ain't seen him fight yet, but he seems to be having a positive effect on Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
I guess we'll only truly know come fight night.
Well, WM says here, I don't know who is more delusional, Wilder or Scott. Wilder just has yes men around him, much like AJ, unfortunately.
Well, the yes men thing is kind of overused. What, do you want a load of people telling them, no, you can't do it? Whichever trainer do you ever hear say, no, actually, no, I don't think you're going to beat him, no. Especially when you're going into a fight with that individual. So yeah. I think the yes man thing, I get it, but sometimes it's a overused term in my view. You got a team that's supposed to be supporting you. you're going into a fight like this. You want people to be, you know what I mean, encouraging you and being positive, not telling you, well, I don't think you're going to win. I've never heard of that yet. So, you know.
Conrad has said here, I can't stand Fury, but when I compare boxing ability, a Wilder win is wishful thinking. Are you on that page? Are you like more wishful thinking than really believing Wilder win, or do you actually really believe it as well? Like, I think
listen, maybe I am a little bit. Maybe I am. I admitted to you earlier that I do want Wilder to win, and I also said, and I'm not ashamed to say it because it's true, that I'm not the biggest fan of the way
there's a lot
Tyson
of people
Fury
that want Wilder
himself.
to win. There's actually quite a few people I've seen.
I'm not the biggest fan of how Tyson Fury carries himself, but I did try to be analytical and say that, listen, if it's a boxing match, then Fury is clearly the better boxer. But a bit like AJ and Usyk, I don't think boxing should be Wilder's game plan because he's already been in with Fury and done 19 rounds with him, and he didn't have much luck outboxing him, did he? So the strategy has to be different. Like I said, he can't go in there and just start throwing bombs from the minute the first round goes because that would be unrealistic. So there has to be a strategy. But at some point, he's got to cultivate a game plan that at some point in the fight, he's going to catch Fury and they've got to take it from there.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to be patient in some ways.
Narco Blings has said here, with a right hand like Wilder, he is never out of a fight. I totally agree with that as well. You can't write him out. You just can't write him off. That's why he's so exciting because you just with that right hand, you just don't know, man. Like, I remember something Wilder said. He said that people have to be perfect for 36 minutes. Only have to be perfect for 1 second. And when you say something like that, it just makes you think like he's got a point with that kind of right hand. But the problem is has he believed it too much? Has he believed in it? Has he fallen into the hype too much though? Has he really just believing in his own self like a bit too much where it gets to the point of delusion?
Well, he said something, to be fair. I saw an interview earlier in the week where he did admit that he was perhaps a bit too right-hand happy. He said in this fight, they've been working much more on cultivating a game plan to land shots and to set shots up rather than just throwing them out the blue, you know what I mean? So that at least they're thinking in that way, you know what I mean? Which is good. At least they're thinking that type of strategic box puncher that I would like to see him employ for this fight, you know what I mean? Because, like I said, you're not really going to outbox Fury, but to just go out there and start winging, I don't think that's going to work either. You're just going to leave yourself open and you'll get picked off. But if he can cultivate a decent, which he does have a good jab actually when he chooses to use it. We saw that in the first Bermain-Stiverne fight, and I've seen it in some of his earlier fights, where he does have a good left jab. So if you can use the jab, if you can be sensible, choose his spots, but then when you've chose your spot and you've landed, then you've got to make your, you know what I mean, punch power pay. If you can change up the line of attack, maybe go to the body here and there, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? He's got to be smart aggression.
Yeah.
Then he definitely has a chance, 100%. I mean, Tyson Fury has said so himself. Tyson Fury has been quite open, more open than previously, to be honest with you. Don't you think so?
Yeah, but I don't know if he could be playing games again.
Huh?
Don't know if he could be playing games again. I don't know.
Well, he said it a lot. He said it a lot. And I, well, listen, man, it's true. Listen, if a guy can do that to you, what he did in the first fight, he is dangerous, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah. There's a lot of comments here, man. I'm going to try and get through these. IA's put here, yes, guys, great show. I don't know who I'm rooting to win. PBC holding the belt hostage or Fury's unpredictability. Yeah, when you put it like that, you know what I mean? That can happen on both. I can envision both scenarios there. Ian Hamilton has said here, the difference with AJ compared to Wilder is that his ego was so high, he was levitating. AJ seems to accept defeat and not blame everything and everyone apart from himself. Just saying. Jay Eriks has said here, Kalnacki looks pretty fit for the first time on his last Instagram picture, and Helenia says he's better than ever. Will be very interesting. So yeah, the undercard is looking really good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight because in that first fight, Helenius versus Kalnacki, that was an upset. Helenius winning, wasn't it? But so in this fight, Kalnacki's gone away and he said, listen, before I wasn't fit, Bit like Wilder, he's gone away and remodeled himself, and he says he's coming in a new fighter. So again, intrigue. We'll see what happens. Personally, I'm leaning towards Hellenius because I think he has a better boxing skills. Kawanaki, unlike Wilder, is not a massive one-punch hitter. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if Kawanaki beat him. Another intriguing fight.
Yeah. Conrad has said here he hit Fury twice and Fury got up twice. He did. He did get up twice.
But like I said, that first one, the second one, a lot of people, myself included, think that Tyson got very lucky on that. And he did, man. Listen, how many fights have we seen, Daryl, where a fighter gets dropped? Remember Carl Groves and
Froch and Groves.
Carl Froch and George Groves. I was watching that fight the other day. You know what I mean? A lot of people said that stoppage in their first fight was ridiculous. You know what I mean? And look, it got stopped. So that's what I'm saying. Listen, he got up. Yes, he did. But he's also fortunate because a lot of referees would have called time on that straight away. Or, you know what I mean? I think the official count, not the official count, but it was timed at the time when Fury got up and, you know what I mean, was able to carry on. I think something like 12, 13 seconds had elapsed. You know what I mean? So listen, man, another referee on another day, he says, that's it, and fight over. And Fury will be in the corner going, oh, we're right. But the record would have said KO. So, you know.
Timothy Spaghetti has put here, you guys deserves more subs being unbiased. Fury loitering matches hurts the sport. Already titleist 1 or 2 matches a year. The prospects have no chance at glory. Fury is selfish. Big up Timothy, man. Subs are coming in. 900 subs today. So we're getting there, man. We get to 1K. That'll be very good, man.
I mean,
very good.
Fury is a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world without making one defense of his title. I mean, that shows you, you know what I mean, that he's not been the consummate professional. And, you know, I said this on your show a couple of weeks ago. He's kind of played around with the sport. Okay, we know he's had these well-documented mental health issues. But it has to be said, man, he's not always conducted himself in the right manner professionally. Now, is all that going to come back to bite him on the bum this weekend? That's another intriguing factor of this fight. He's been at the ring a long time. There were rumors that he was partying and doing all sorts of stuff. I think by his own admission, he was saying stuff like this. And then the COVID thing was very suspicious, I have to say. I can't flat out accuse him of being a liar. But if you say you got COVID one day, and then the next day you're pictured at car dealerships taking selfies with fans and showing up at bars and stuff in public places. I mean, Daryl, you had COVID. Were you doing that when you were diagnosed with COVID? I know I certainly wasn't when I had COVID. The last thing you're thinking of is things like that. You can't even stand up straight.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things there that didn't quite resonate too well.
Big up my brother Andre here, man. I've got a lot of my boys in the chat today. Andre in the chat, man. He's put Fury will beat Wilder again. So we'll have to see. But good to have you here, Andre, bro. Good to have you here, my brother, man. Kingdom has said here, I think the ref saved Fury that night, to be honest. He still looked wobbly. So, yeah, he agrees with you.
Yeah. Listen, man, Fury, I've got to give it to him, man. When he got, I remember I called you after that fight, didn't I?
Yeah.
That first fight a few years back. And I said, Daryl, I don't know how that guy got up from that fight. So it's almost like people gave him so much credit for getting up that we almost forgot the fact that he was given a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? He got a blind from the ref, man. Let's be honest with you, man. Compared to some other fighters, what they've had to deal with from referees. You know what I mean? Look at Meldrick Taylor when he fought Chavez. 2 seconds away from the biggest win he could have had in his career. And he gets stopped 2 seconds to go. And he got up. He wobbled around the wing, but he got up. And the referee stopped it. You know what I mean? And, you know, so, you know what I mean? Right throughout history, we've seen fighters who have been stopped on their feet after going down or whatever, or we've seen them go down heavily and the referee's not even taking up the count. He's looking to take out the gum shield. So as much as I give Fury credit, he was also fortunate. Let's not, you know what I mean? Let's not forget that.
JTL has said here, I wonder who Kalnaki versus a Hellenius winner will fight next. I want it to be Ruiz. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. It's not a bad shout. Andy
Well,
Ruiz.
there's rumours going around that if Wilder wins, because they're PBC fighters, that it could be one of those two that he fights next. I don't know. But then Wilder's also said he's committed to unifying the belts. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Francisco said here, Fury versus Wilder weigh-in is at 2 o'clock out here. I think that's 10 o'clock London time. Like Laurie said, Fury's weight could be a good indication of his tactics. Well, I'm hearing he's coming in heavy. He looks heavier. And I think Sugar Hill said that he's going to look to come in heavy.
Yeah, I think that will be the plan. I mean, listen, if you're naturally the bigger guy, I mean, a lot of people criticize Joshua for coming in too light against Usyk. I think in the next fight, we might see him a little heavier against Usyk and try and walk Usyk down a bit more than he did.
I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea.
It might be a bit harder because Usyk is a better boxer than Wilder is and more fleet-footed. But listen, man, I think Fury, to go back to Fury, because we're talking about Fury and Wilder, I can see why the extra weight would, give them a slight advantage. But then if you're carrying too much weight, it could make him slow and sluggish. And the last thing you want to be is slow and sluggish when you've got someone like Deontay Wilder in front of you. So, I don't know. And
Wilder's bulked as well, it looks like.
But it seems to suit him, man. He almost looked like he needed to bulk up a bit, don't you think?
Yeah, he looks pretty bulky in that picture I saw today, though. I don't know if that's too much or not.
Although Wilder is smaller, there's a difference between Usyk and Joshua and Wilder and Fury. Although Wilder was much the smaller man, stuff like that, he's not what I call a mover. He doesn't move around the ring anywhere near the way Usyk does, or even Fury. He doesn't move like, he just doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't have great feet like that. You know what I mean? So, but the extra weight might make him a bit sturdier in terms of taking shots from Fury, and it might increase his power.
Yeah. Love to see, man. Like I said, this is intriguing. Very intriguing, man. Kingdom says here, I think it'd be good if you guys could cover some amateur boxers in and around the local area. It would be good for them. Yeah, it would be. But you know what? As of right now, there's the amateur shows are kind of few and far between right now. There's not that many going on as much. I mean, I used to go to the gyms and do document some boxers in the gyms and stuff like that. Could do that a bit more. But yeah, obviously with the whole COVID situation, there's been not as many amateur shows as we would have hoped, is there?
Yeah, that's true. I think COVID has had an adverse effect on a lot of different sports, boxing being included. And let's be honest, man, even in professional boxing, it's only now you're starting to see a lot of the fights because the crowds have slowly been allowed back in and stuff like that. I mean, before it seemed a bit surreal, didn't it? Watching boxers go to the ring, there was no atmosphere, no crowds. And boxers said openly that they found it affected them. Josh Warrington, for number one, he said that. And listen, some people would say he's using excuses for his defeat, but I do think that things like that do play a part because they are professional sportsmen. They're used to boxing in front of crowds, and when you take that away, it does detract from the atmosphere. And you get some boxers, Josh Warrington being a prime example, that feed off the atmosphere of the crowd. They just do. It's as simple as that. I think Tyson Fury is another one, actually. He's a showman, so he likes people being around. He likes to perform, He likes to play to the gallery. So, when crowds are not in attendance, you might see a slightly flatter version of that individual, but we'll see. But this weekend is, it's not just Las Vegas, as I'm sure you're going to mention, Darryl. It's just a great week for boxing.
I'm going to get onto that in a second, but just before I do, actually, and we'll offer our prediction. Well, we'll give our official prediction as well. IA said here the first 3 rounds could be sluggish due to both being out for 20 months. Who has that 20 months affected more, in your opinion? Is it Wilder due to the fact that he got a beat down from Fury in the second fight and he's had a lot to contemplate? Or do you think Fury, because somebody like him might need to be in the ring and more active? And do you know what I mean? He could be having some issues upstairs. Like, who has it affected more, the 20 months?
I would listen. I'm having a guess here, but I would imagine it's probably benefited Wilder more Reason being, he's appointed a new trainer, and they've had all this time to work on some of his deficiencies and work on his mindset and work on a strategy, which they said have been developing over a long time. He's also been in the gym, started lifting weights, got stronger, got his legs looking a bit stronger, you know what I mean? So I think definitely Wilder. And I think as well with Fury being the boxer, I think if you're a boxer and you rely on reflexes and skills and that, obviously if you're out the ring, it's going to affect you a little bit more than somebody who's more of a puncher. So I think it's going to affect both of them in a way, but I would imagine that Fury is probably likely to be more affected. And then we've seen Fury when he's out the ring for long spells of time, he has trouble focusing, doesn't he? He says by his own admission that he's always training, but his mind can wander. And then he starts doing things outside the ring that are not always conducive to producing his best in it. So he'll start drinking and eating lots of food, putting on weight, you know what I mean, getting into silly situations outside the ring. So whereas Wilder has appeared anyway to have been steadfastly focused and, you know what I mean, developing his long-term game plan.
Let's get an official prediction for this, man. As I'm just reading Daniel's comment here, is making me laugh about their ring entrance suit. Apparently, Wilder might be having another type of entrance suit like that. I think he's got another sort of ring entrance suit similar to the second fight. So that was one of the excuses, wasn't it? So, well, actually, Francisco's saying he's got an improved lighter suit for his ring walk, so he should be all right. But
yeah, I would have thought that, you know, I mean, he can have an elaborate suit for the ring without it being so heavy. I mean, the last one was very elaborate and very heavy, apparently. So hopefully he's learned from that.
Let's get the prediction in then. For me, I'm just coming out and saying it. I think that Fury will win again. I thought that, like I said, I thought he won the first fight. He didn't get the decision. It was a draw. And he was nowhere near his best then. And in the second fight, we saw what he did to Wilder there, dominated that rematch. I just think that I wouldn't mind seeing Wilder win at all. I do like Wilder. I'm a fan of him. I think it wouldn't be bad at all for boxing if he did win. But if I'm being honest, if I'm like thinking with my head, then I just think that Fury will win again. I just think that he could have Wilder's number in terms of like knowing how to beat him. The first fight for me was a draw, but I thought he won. Second fight, he won that conclusively. And I think the third fight, I just think that he hasn't been. I know that what you're going to say about the knockdown in that first fight, but he's managed to survive Wilder for 19 rounds. And I just think that he'll be able to get over the hump again. He'll find a way to win. Could be a late stoppage, could be a points win. But I'm going for Fury again. I'm going for Fury. I just think the arsenal, I just think that like just his size, the way how he uses his ability, I just think that Wilder he's always struggled with it. Wilder has. So I just think that Fury will beat him again.
Okay. Well, listen, man, I don't have a problem with you saying that. I mean, as I said before, most people I've spoken to think Fury's going to win. And you can't hate on that because, like you said, they've shared 19 rounds. And in the majority of those rounds, Fury so far proved himself to be the better man. But, and this is where I'm coming in, that was 19 months ago. A lot has changed since then. Fury, I think he may have peaked as far as a boxer goes. He does a lot of stuff out the ring that is not, as I said earlier, it's not conducive to good performance. And I'm just looking at the trajectory of Fury's career, some of the stuff that goes on with him. And I'm thinking to myself, we could be seeing it crash and burn come Saturday night, man. I'm looking at Wilder and I'm thinking, this is a guy that's totally focused on his job. And I see him getting Fury out of there, man, before the halfway mark or around about the halfway mark.
So Wilder in 6.
7 rounds, I see Wilder either stopping him on his feet after having dropped him a couple of times or knocking him out cold with a big right hand. But, you know, at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if Fury won. But I'm not changing my prediction. I'm just saying, you know, common consensus will tell you Fury, especially on points. But I've just got this feeling, man. I've been telling you for a while, innit? I've got this feeling, man. I've envisaged it, you know what I mean? I just see it in my mind where I just see Wilder just coming over the top with a lazy jab and just clocking him, man. And that's it. So, yeah, I'm going Wilder.
Okay. My brother Andre here, he said here Oi, Dazzy, remember me telling you that Fury would beat him in the first and second fight? Fury wins this one on point. So, yeah, he's pretty convinced as to how that fight will go. Listen, it's edge of your seat stuff. Whatever. I'm just like, I'm excited, man, because I could watch Fury and be like, right, I had a fantastic round, fantastic second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round, then sixth round, bang, it could be over. With what, like, that is why this fight is so intriguing to me. And that's why I love watching Deontay Wilder, because you just don't know when he's up and active. You just don't know what's going to happen, man. So, listen, great fight to look forward to this weekend. It's got me on the edge of my seat. I'm just loving the whole, like, I just love the build up. I love the characters of the two. I think they mesh well together. And, you know, we're coming to the end of the trilogy this weekend. But Timothy says here, Wilder hanging his head low in the presser as Fury rubbed it in. Wilder has got heart and he was not applying himself. I've got a gut feeling to Wilder. So he thinks Wilder will do it. JTL was saying here, would have been interesting to see Wallin versus Wilder if they both win. And the winner then fight AJ and Usyk. It could happen. Could happen, man.
Actually, that Otto Wallin Fury fight was another fight, again, in which Fury, in my view, got very lucky. The referee, again, bailed him out. How many times have we seen fighters with bad cuts get stopped? I've seen fighters with cuts way less than that get stopped. Fury, because he had that big fight after that scheduled in, he got a blight from the referee. This is what I'm saying. He's had all these blights from the Stan McDermott days up till now. And he's always ridden it out. You know what I mean? And fair play to him. He's always ridden it out. This time, it could be the night where it all goes wrong. Yeah.
Kingdom says here, what time's the undercard starting? I think it starts from like, what must be like 2 o'clock in the AM over here. So, yeah. We'll see, man. We'll see. But listen, before we go, I just want to get your thoughts on the other big show this weekend in Liverpool. Liam Smith against Anthony Fowler. For us over here in the UK, that's a fantastic domestic dust-up. The Americans watching probably thinking, boy, I don't really, you know what I mean, whatever. But for us over here, it's a big dust-up. 2 guys from Liverpool. Liam Smith, I've always had a high opinion of him. And Anthony Fowler on the way up, looking very good. Only suffered the 1 defeat in his career so far, but has since moved to Shane McGuigan and has looked very good under him. Listen, has this fight come too soon for Anthony Fowler, or has he got it at the right time? That's the main question here, is timing. Who has managed their timing better here? Has Anthony Fowler got Liam Smith at the right time, or is Liam Smith still like a top dangerous operator? Because for me, if Liam Smith is anywhere near his best, then he beats Fowler for me. I just think that I think he beats Fowler. But I think Fowler might be getting him at the right time. That's my only thing.
Listen, it's a great fight, but you have to say to yourself this. If Anthony Fowler can't beat Liam Smith now, Liam Smith's 33 years old, and he's had quite a lot of hard fights, including his last fight when he went to Russia and dropped a decision. If you're Anthony Fowler, and let's be honest, Anthony Fowler is like 30, 31. If he can't beat Liam Smith at this stage, you have to wonder where Anthony Fowler's going. It's not like he's won a British title or anything like that. But, you know, as I said, Liam Smith is, to me, clearly past his best, but he's still a damn good fighter and he's as tough as hell. And he does have underrated skills, especially going to the body. So I think it's going to be a very good fight. I mean, Fowler, younger, longer, possibly stronger. I don't think he's got a better chin, but he's possibly physically the stronger athlete. He's got a good jab, and I would expect him to possibly build up a points lead going into the halfway stage. But at some point, I think Liam Smith's toughness, experience, and underrated skills will start to drag him into, you know what I mean, that kind of war. And I think if it is a war, man, you've got to put your money on Liam Smith, man. I don't think Anthony Fowler, although he's got a decent arsenal and he can punch hard. I'm not sure if he's got it in him to, you know what I mean, to knock Liam Smith over and keep him there.
Not for me.
So the smart money would have to be on Liam Smith, but then you never know. Liam might get old overnight, as it were. I did notice on the scales today, they both looked a bit sort of. Did you notice that? They both looked a bit
I think Fowler looked all right.
Liam Smith, though, his face did look a bit drawn, man.
Well, he had to strip, didn't he? He had to strip.
Yeah, he looked a bit drawn, and at his age, do you want to be like that? You know what I mean? When you're a younger man, that 24 hours to recovery and, you know what I mean, rehydrate and stuff, you know what I mean, you can get it all back fairly comfortably. But as you get older, it tends to not be as easy. So that was slightly worrying sign for me when I saw he definitely looked at. I don't know whether it's the grey hair and his overall demeanour. Liam Smith is
he's always had grey hair for a long time, man.
Yeah. I don't know. But he did look a bit drawn to me at the weight, although he looked very confident. But he did look a bit drawn. So I don't know. Maybe that's another factor that could add to the intrigue. But I would listen, man. I would say that Liam Smith is a favourite. I'm going for him to win, but I wouldn't be shocked if Fowler beat him because, like I said, if you're
Conrad's saying he'll be shocked if Liam don't win it. He's saying he'll be shocked if Liam Smith don't win it. So,
well, I would definitely make Liam Smith a favourite. But what I'm saying is, I know what Conrad says, but me personally, I would not be shocked if Fowler won because let's face it, he's the younger, fresher guy. Liam Smith's been around a long, long time. He's had a lot of hard fights. I mean, don't forget, he's been in with guys like, look, he's been in with Canelo. He's been in with Jaime Munguia. He's been in with Liam Smith twice. You know what I mean? He's been in with John Thompson when he won the WBO title. He's been around a long time, man. And he was a decent amateur as well. He won the ABAs. Fowler had a very good amateur career. Probably stayed in the amateurs a bit too long for me. Went to Commonwealth Games gold medalist, was an Olympian. You know what I mean? He's been around a long time. Probably stayed in the amateurs too long. So he's had quite a few hard fights as well. He's been hittable too. And then, of course, with Anthony Fowler, as was being pointed out by Paul Smith, Liam Smith's brother, the one big fight he was in, he lost it.
Yeah.
So you got him on those types of pre-fight form. You have to go with Liam Smith. You'd be silly to otherwise if you're just basing it on that. However, like I said, Liam Smith has a long career. He's had a lot of hard fights. Like I said, he went to Russia some months back. He fought well. He says he was robbed. I don't believe he was. I thought he lost a close decision. But, you know, again, it was another hard, long, grueling fight. Him fighting again now, you know what I mean? You don't quite know with boxing, man. Sometimes, you know what I mean, a guy can look great on the scales or not or whatever. And then he gets in there and you think, wow, what happened to him? So, don't know. Again, it's a very intriguing fight, man. Looking forward to it.
Some conflicting comments here, man. Some people saying they feel that there's no way Liam Smith loses. We've got Dean Sinclair saying, I think Fowler wins this. He's got Smith at the right time. Like I said, it's all down to timing for me. Has he got Smith at the right time? Because if he hasn't, if Smith still has a bit about him left, then I'd definitely favour Liam Smith. I would. Because you make a good point there, what his brother said, that the only big fight that Fowler's been in, he's lost it. Do you know what I mean? So, like, how could I pick against Liam Smith? It really depends on what he's got left. Conrad has said here, that's a good point, Laurie. He didn't look 100% at the weigh-in. A few people were saying that as well in the comments that Liam Smith didn't look that great at the weigh-in today.
He looked a bit drawn to me. He looked a bit drawn, I have to say.
He's got time to replenish and put that weight back on, though, and get.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, at that age, it's when you're a younger man in boxing, when you're younger and you do that, you can get away with it for a few years. As you get older, it becomes harder and harder. So we'll see. Yeah. But then, you know, Anthony Fowler will have to put pressure on him to draw that out of him. You know what I mean? So,
and that's one thing with Fowler. There's no issues with his weight. Like Conrad saying, look, he's big and strong. Fowler.
He is. Yeah, I don't know how he makes light middleweight.
Yeah, he's very big for the weight.
I don't know how he does it. He must have hollow legs. But listen, man, it's a good fight because Liam Smith is not a one-punch hitter either. But he, you know, what I mean, he's a pressure fighter. And he's got underrated skills when it comes to that. He does certain things in there, man, that are quite clever. He's got a high guard. And, you know, he comes in and if he rips shots to the body, and you know what I mean, he's a very hard man and he's tough. So we'll see. And the Smiths, of course, are on a bit of a high right now with Callum Smith the other day. That absolutely exhilarating knockout. Yeah. That would have given Liam a bit of confidence to see his brother do that as well. So Yeah, man, I'm definitely leaning towards Liam Smith, but I would not be shocked if Fowler's to win. And I'm not trying to play both sides. That's just my honest opinion.
Go through some comments here before we sign out for today. Timothy says here, I want to see Savannah Marshall versus Clarissa Shields. When I saw the next match for Clarissa Shields, I got mad. Why are they doing this? Preserving profiles rather than fighting who you want to see. Yeah, what the Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields match hopefully has moved a step closer due to the fact that Savannah Marshall and Clarissa Shields are both under the Boxer umbrella, aren't they? For Sky Sports now. So maybe, Timothy, we might be closer with seeing that fight. It's a super fight for me. Like, we have to see that fight, man. It's the biggest fight that can be made. I know people talk about Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, but for me, Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall is bigger for me.
Yeah, me too. I agree. Especially as these two got history, ain't they? Savannah Marshall is the only person who've ever beaten Clarissa Shields, amateur or pro. So, you know what I mean? Let's put it like this. About a year or so ago, I would have said there's no way Savannah Marshall could beat Clarissa Shields. But I've seen Savannah Marshall a few times, man, and she has looked very impressive. And people say, I don't know for sure, that she's pound for pound the hardest punching woman boxer. And as we've already discussed with Wilder and Fury, if you can punch like that, then, you know what I mean, that's a big advantage that you have. So she's, you know what I mean, and she's beaten Clarissa already. She seems to want to fight, probably more so than Clarissa does, if I'm being honest, because Clarissa Shields is doubling up as an MMA fighter, which personally I would have preferred to see her concentrate on boxing. But listen, man, she wants to do it in two different combat sports. She thinks she's creating history, and I guess she is. So credit to her for that. But I want to see this fight, man.
Yeah.
Clarissa's also driving a hard bargain, apparently, in terms of the money that she wants for this fight, because the thinking is that she will come over here to fight. But listen, man, I don't care where they fight as long as they fight. And we don't want it to be dragged out, do we? We don't want it to start getting to...
It doesn't work. You know, I mean, the whole dragging out situation, it don't work, man. We've seen that.
Let's strike while the iron's hot. Because listen, if you strike while the iron's hot, they could fight 2, maybe 3 times. Look at Wilder and Fury. Yeah. We've seen this. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, let's get it done. Let's get it
done for real, man. Yeah. Drea said here, Liam Smith has had grey hair for a long time, but today he did look old.
Yeah, so he definitely looked a bit drawn at the weigh-in, man. Listen, I watched it on my laptop, and that's the first thought that came into my head. I thought, right, man looks a bit drawn at the weight. And let's be honest, man, he's been at light middleweight pretty much all his career, hasn't he?
All his career,
he's been a career light middleweight. I can remember him fighting a friend of mine, Eric Oching, who's a friend of mine, man, and Liam Smith beat him. It's a decent fight, actually. So, you know what I mean? I've been watching Liam. So I've watched him at ringside way back. I know how good he is. I know how tough he is. I know he's got that real steely determination. He's the kind of guy that you hit him, man, and he laughs at you and smiles and sneers and says things under his breath. You know what I mean? He's a real hard, tough man. You know what I mean? Out of all them Smith brothers, he may not be the best boxer or the biggest puncher, but he's probably the toughest, nastiest one of the lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just think that all those ingredients, he's going to make it a hard night for Fowler.
Ian Hammond said here, Fowler has not...
He seemed to have one-upped Fowler at the press conferences as well, didn't he? He seemed to Fowler...
Well, like what Ian's saying here, I don't know, because Fowler hasn't really rose to it. He didn't rose to it at the weigh-in today. And he's put here, Fowler's not looked emotional once during this build-up. That was what I saw in him for me against... That's what did it for him against Fitzgerald. I'm edging towards Fowler, but the first few rounds will be key as to who wins this. So,
well, I think Fowler's energy was totally different against Fitzgerald, and I think that the reason why he was kind of trying to bully Fitzgerald, wasn't he? I mean, he was the bigger man, a lot bigger physically. Fitzgerald was, as an amateur, he was a light welter and welter, and you know, Fowler was at middleweight at one stage in the amateurs, and he's fighting at light middle, so he was a bigger man. And it looked and sounded to me like he was trying to bully Fitzgerald. Saying things, I'm going to smash your face in and this and that and rare, which of course he didn't do. So maybe he's adopting a more sort of under the radar approach, but he did look a little bit in awe of Liam Smith at the first press conference when the fight was initially announced. But yeah, over time, he's probably a lot more confident now. I just hope that he doesn't go in there showing any deference on the night. I don't think he will, but you know what I mean? Because his attitude will have to be bang on. Everything will have to be bang on for him to win this fight.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be very interesting, man. And like I said, we've got a great weekend of boxing coming up. 2 good shows. And yeah, just sit back and enjoy, man. I'm going to wrap it up for today, by the way.
I know you got your favourite female fighter, Shannon Courtney. You know, she's lost her belt. Yeah,
she lost her. I saw she put out a statement today, actually, about that.
How could you be 2 pounds overweight? I mean,
but did you see her? Did you see her statement though?
What is that?
I mean,
non-calibrated scales. What?
Nah, hold on. Let me read it out because
that does sound pretty unprofessional. I must admit.
Yeah, but I think her statement. Let me just have a look. Hold on, just let me get it up because when I saw it, I was just like, oh, okay. Like maybe I can't really. I don't know. Maybe I might have to leave it. But what she said was like. She was on weight and she was ready to go, and then last night her menstrual cycle started, which for obvious reasons makes women gain weight. So that's kind of what happened to her. So yeah, so when she said that, I'm just like, oh well, how can I really cuss her then if that's what it is, you know?
No. So, I mean, the only thing I would say about that, women's menstrual cycles are normally they're able to time them. Maybe not always, but that's how I've always thought of it. Well, not always, but you know what I'm saying. But anyway, listen, man, I'm not second guessing her for 1 second. If that's what she says, we have to believe her. It's just initially when I heard that she'd missed the weight by 2 pounds, my first inclination was to think, well, how could you get it so wrong? That's got to be slightly unprofessional. But she's put her reason out there, and I'm sure she's telling us the truth.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate for her then, isn't it? Because she's had to give up her title.
Yeah, she had to give it up, yeah. Conrad has said here, get some rest because it'll be a long day and night on Saturday. Conrad, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to get some rest, man. You know, get some rest, chill out. And yeah, just enjoy the fights at the weekend, man. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do a watch along, but Laurie will be doing it on the Don Robbie channel. So make sure you guys check that out. But listen, fantastic weekend of boxing coming up, man. I'm really looking forward to it. And it's been a rough, very, very rough couple of weeks for me. But we're back at it now, man, and now we can look forward to the boxing. So big up to everybody. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're at 900 subscribers now, so we need to get to that 1K. And big up everybody, man. Thank you for making this show a lot easier to do. And we'll be back again next week. Laurie, do you want to close out?
Yeah, you said it. You've articulated it very well, man. First of all, I just want to say, as your dad and somebody who loves you, you know what I mean? I'm glad to see you're back to more like your normal self. You look like you lost a bit of weight, which, listen, man.
Lost weight. I've lost a lot of weight. I've lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, but you don't look like Liam Smith, though. You know what I mean? So I'm not worried about that. I think that's probably a good thing for you. All you got to do is just build up your strength a bit. And yeah, man, but listen, I've enjoyed being on the show. It's a great weekend for boxing. I'm really looking forward to it. May the best man win in all the fights. And listen, man, I can't wait. And big up everybody for watching. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. Let's get Daryl over this 1,000 mark. You know what I mean? We're in the championship rounds now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, yeah, man, let's go. Let's put it all out there.
Big up everyone, man. Thank you for joining. Enjoy the fights, and we'll be catching up over the next week, man. Big up to everybody.
Big up.